Goldilocks in Vietnam. Where am I going today? Today I'm going to a very special place that most people younger than me anyway don't even know about, and many people my age have forgotten about. But it's a place which is forever burned in the hearts of Vietnamese. They all know what happened here. It's a war atrocity that the American military committed against innocent Vietnamese men, women, old men, not even fighting age men, old men, women, children, murders, rapes. I'm going to tell you more later. Well, so we're crossing the big bridge over the big river. Bye-bye, Hoi An. Lovely place, really enjoyed it. Great vegan food, of course. But this journey to this sacred place will take about less than 2.5 hours. I've got about 2 hours, 7 minutes left, according to Google. So I'm just going to take it steady. But today, these 2 days are going to be a bit somber. Going to be a time of deep thought about what's happening to our world with, you know, American militarism. And a good way of looking at that is look to what they've done in the past, and it's shocking, really shocking. Well, this is about the longest, neatest, cleanest highway I've been on in Vietnam so far. Very nice, huh? Big lane for bikes. Keep out of the way of trucks, hopefully. Well, I've got a nice view in the distance there of the Central Highlands. I'll be going there in a couple of days' time. And now we're a bit closer. I presume that's a monastery up there. It looks like it. So let's see if I can see it. Should be just coming up here. Oh, my key homestay. Yeah. I think this is it. We got it, I think. Here we go. This looks cool. There we go. Mud hut. Hello. Ah, this is cool. A little hut, huh? Yeah. Oh, this is great, huh? This will do me for a night. Shower. Well, my accommodation's really nice. I'm only staying there for one night because I only came here for one reason, and that's to pay my respects and acknowledge the tragedy, the murders and the rapes of innocent Vietnamese civilians that happened here in 1968, I think it was. So let's see, there's a memorial, which is what I'm going to go and have a look at. Really nice to see the rice sprouting now, because we've moved further south. Yeah, the rice looks really nice. The green shoots just coming through the paddies like that. Let's just have a closer look here. It's nice to look at life, even though it's plant life, rather than death. It's most beautiful. we've arrived, so let's take a look around. Okay, so here's a map of where the massacre of My Lai took place on the 16th of March 1968. And we're going to walk around here in a minute, and it's marked the different findings of the mass graves, the point, you know, for example, where 102 people were killed, where mass grave of 75, etc., etc. I must admit, walking around here, I'm feeling, even though I'm not American, or not in nothing to do with the American military, I still feel some sense of shame, especially being Caucasian. So before I have a look around the actual site, I mean the individual places, I'm going to start by looking at this museum here behind me and see what we can find there. So behind me is a list of all the known victims anyway of the massacre. I think there's at least 357, but some reports saying the actual number was over 500. And there were no men of fighting age. They were women, children, and old men. If you want to read that through, you can pause the video and read it. It's talking about one of the soldiers shooting babies. Yeah, you can see on this map, the yellow arrows over there are where the US soldiers landed, and the red squares are where the massacres took place. And the green squares are the mass graves of those massacred. This picture is of US GIs, or whatever you call them, just after the massacre had been committed and just taking a break. This guy seems to be smirking. You know, you have to remember that the Americans were invited in by their puppet Diem, the South Vietnamese government. And look what happened. I think it's worth quoting Henry Kissinger, who not too long after this made a quote, or at least it's attributed to him. And that quote says, "To be an enemy of America can be dangerous, but to be a friend is fatal." Here is some of the weapons the Americans used to kill the quoted 504 unarmed women, children, and elderly men. Didn't stand much of a chance, did they? What I want to do is just read a couple of lines from this quotation from a book, and this was one of the soldiers talking. You know, it's called Wallace. How do you shoot babies? Sorry, he's called Medlow. How do you shoot babies? I don't know, it's just one of those things. How many people would you imagine were killed that day? I would say 370. What did these civilians, these particularly the women, children, the old men, what did they do? What did they say to you? They weren't begging or anything? No, no. Right, they were begging and saying no, no.
Their mothers were hugging their children, but they kept on firing. Well, we kept on firing. There was waving, they were waving their arms and begging, "Did you ever dream about this?" It's too tough. So this is the memorial that they've constructed. So much for freedom, Mr. America. So this is the actual place where the massacre occurred. And although the Americans burnt everything, there are some house foundations left. They didn't destroy those, and some of the foundations have been left like this, and others have had their houses reconstructed. So let's go and take a closer look at that. Now, obviously this is a reconstruction, but nevertheless it gives you a really good idea as to what the place was actually like. Like a kitchen, just simple people, you know. What did they do to deserve their fate? I'm going to read from this notice by the side of the camera. It says, "This foundation was restored at the former location of the former house, depicting the house of a family in Sơn Mỹ, burned down by the American soldiers. All 5 members of his family were killed, including 3 children, ages from 2 to 9. These victims were relatives of Mr. Do Phi, including his 2 children aged 9 and 3. Mr. Do Phi's aunt, his sister-in-law, and a nephew. There were 4 survivors in Mr. Do Phi's family, including his daughter, who escaped death in the ditch, where 170 people were killed. The girl was under the dead body. Mr. Do Phi and his wife, their son, all left home to work in the fields and herding the cow early in the morning. So all 3 of these were not at home when the massacre happened. Mr. Do Phi was 44 years old that year. He passed away in 2018. So this is the site of over 500 people massacred, women, children, elderly men, by fully armed American soldiers. One of the things which is really worth noting here is it occurred in March, 16th of March, 1968, but the American military deliberately and knowingly covered it up, tried to hide it. And it wasn't until a whistleblower, who I believe was one of the soldiers who I think couldn't live with himself, not surprisingly, blew the whistle, and suddenly it was all out in the open. But the wrongdoing doesn't stop there. Out of all the American soldiers in their so-called army unit, battalion, I don't know what they call it, murderers I would call it. Out of all those so-called soldiers who committed these atrocities, do you know how many were prosecuted, court-martialed, or got served punishment, like went to jail? Do you know how many? 1. The battalion commander. I think his name was Cali. And do you know what sentence he got for being responsible for the deaths of over 500 innocent women, children, and elderly men? He ended up serving 3 years home house confinement, and then just walked away free. He died very recently, actually. I feel really strongly about it, as America seems to be throwing its military weight around the world at the moment. you know, in Venezuela. God knows what's going to happen in Iran. We've had it in Iraq. We've had it in Afghanistan. We've had it in a whole array of different countries. I don't know what it is about the American military. They never seem to learn, do they? Now, I just feel very emotional standing on the actual ground where that fateful day in March 1968, those 507 people were murdered in cold blood by fully armed soldiers. Children as young as 2. And they got away with it, essentially. The people that pulled the trigger, they were never punished. This is artillery bomb shelter that the village people built to shelter from the villagers from the American bombs and shelling. It's been reconstructed because the Americans, when they were here, they smashed it to bits and burnt it so that they wouldn't be able to shelter from any future raids. Yeah, right. Human rights, huh? Human rights are not just one way, Mr. America. I think the way this path's been made with footprints of American army jackboots and barefooted village unarmed civilians and children just kind of brings the message home. So this is the actual ditch, the very ditch, where on that day in March 1968, the American soldiers rounded up, there was 170 villagers, all unarmed, elderly men, women, children, forced them to lie in that ditch, stand in that ditch, and then mowed them down with automatic gunfire. There was 6 survivors, miraculously, hidden under all the dead bodies, and they managed to get away after the American soldiers, so-called soldiers, I don't call them soldiers, had gone. It's just unimaginable, unimaginable. I remember it being reported on the news, on TV. It's not that long ago. I know I'm old, but I'm not that old. And it happened well within my lifetime. And for the countless hundreds of thousands, I think millions of Vietnamese who lost their lives, both in the military and the overwhelming majority were civilians, for them, and perhaps also for the 58,000 American military who lost their lives here. For what? For what? The Vietnamese were defending their homeland. The Americans had no business here. It was said to be to stop the spread of communism. If the Vietnamese want communism, it's their business, right? It's not the business of America or any other country. And it's kind of poignant, isn't it? It's distressing, isn't it? For me, anyway, that now the Americans are trying to cozy up to that very same Vietnamese communist government that they fought so hard and lost. That very same communist government they're cozying up to. Why? Because they want to try and use the Vietnamese government again, this time against what they perceive as a more bigger so-called communist threat in mainland China. Just stay out of Vietnam, will you? Well, I got so emotional back there. I just felt terrible. I just really felt for those people and the lives that were taken away from them. How can a 2-year-old child be a threat to a fully armed battalion of a, whatever it is, group of fully armed American soldiers? A whole life wasted, huh? So this is near where I'm staying. I'm trying to lighten my mood a little bit, otherwise I'm feeling... And you can see South China Sea out here. The whole place seems to be almost deserted, apart from a bit of maintenance. I don't know if it's an abandoned coffee shop or not, but there doesn't seem to be anyone there. It's called Bosom Coffee. There we are. Is that how you spell bosom? Oh, there's someone there, look, but I don't think they're selling anything. Maybe just canned drinks or something. The sea looks quite clean. I think it's just sand from the turbulence of the waves, and there's some nice beaches further down. Maybe check it out. I guess this is supposed to be some type of resort. Either was, is, or going to be, or all three of those. I guess it's not the season, it's too cold, right? I mean, I'm in a t-shirt and I'm fine, but I guess it's a summer thing, right? When I was walking around the massacre site, I was the only one there. The world, yeah, maybe can bring itself to forgive, but don't forget, must never forget, lest we forget. Anyway, I've got to stop talking about it because it's really affected me emotionally. I've got to lighten up and try to think of something else. Let's get some lunch or something, huh? So you can see that peninsula over there. I might try and drive around in a loop or something. Get some food or coffee or whatever. Yeah. Well, I'm all gassed up now, full tank, and ready to head back into the mountains tomorrow morning. Hopefully in a brighter mood. Oh. Banana?
Yeah.
Okay, one, huh? One. How much? I don't know what that means. 10,000, I think. Okay, fried banana. Come on.
Dạ, cảm ơn.
Come on.
Dạ.
Is it good? Let's have a look. There we go. Wow, look at that one. Huh? It's a big one. Not too oily. Good. Oh, this is how she makes it. Oh. She gets half a banana, squishes it. Oh, see. Dips it in batter and then deep fries it, and there you are.